Wagwan people, I hope you can hear me well. I just wanted to record a quick voice note while I was walking home. So I had a bit of a spontaneous insight. It was quite subtle, but I think it's important. And it seemed to have contrast and brought about solutions to previous paradigms that weren't serving me and that were problems. So what is like the insight in short, I guess? Well, it kind of hit me in like a lot of people speak about like how for example, like who the fuck was it? Was it Isaac Newton that was, famously supposedly saw the apple fall from the tree when he was just chilling, and then that just led to a spontaneous insight. Well, it wasn't really like that, but I saw like Aperture, a YouTube channel, spoke on how like these moments, it was on a video called How Overstimulation is Ruining Your Life, and he was basically speaking about how it's impossible to get like these insights on a whim if you're always distracting yourself and you don't ever let yourself just like clean the house in silence and shit like that. So, and that's when it came to me, as I was just doing some housework with my mother, and then there was just like this clarity all of a sudden, a bit. So what that was, give me 1 second. Sorry, I always get like mucus. I have to like move and out on my face, and that's linked to like the health stuff, where it's supposedly good to like move the mucus out of your body. So, but that's the reason I tell you that was, one, because that's just what happened. That's why I had to go. But two, is because like me personally, this is just like my own neurosis, where it's like, oh, this mucus is showing a sign of like my poor diet because of sugar, and because the mucus, I've heard, and I've actually spoke as if I knew was the case. I mean, I'm pretty confident, because when you fast on like clean food, like melons and that, like you can go through the mucus and like to the point where there isn't any, and then when you eat like a bowl of cereal, you're like full of mucus again. So like you can see that sign of the mucus, and like a lyric by Eminem is like, "You're gonna use the cards you're dealt as an excuse to not do shit with them. I used to play the loser victim till I saw the way proof was driven." Whatever that last bit means. But yeah, I like that bit where it says like, you're gonna use the cards you're dealt as an excuse to not do shit with them. And it's like, obviously observe that potentially this could be a problem, and like just take this to any problem in your life that you kind of turn over in your head, like something that you think's holding you back, like, oh, I wish my health was better, like I wish I, but like there's like, what good does it do? You're just like sat there like negatively turning it over somewhat. Sorry, I just got taken aback by how like big the sky is and the wind. I don't know, the world is pretty cool. Often I look, especially on psychedelics, like the world is alive, like the outside world is like breathing, and it moves and it has sound. It's quite weird. But it's very beautiful, especially on psychedelics. So sorry. So that point there that I just spoke about is somewhat linked to the main insight, which is just like, just don't ruminate and focus on the fucking negatives, because you can always look at the negatives, and somewhat like an insight I had for myself not long ago is that really your attention and what you put your attention on is somewhat the fundamental reality. Like, what you choose to focus on is like what exists. So if you're just going to focus on the negatives, then it will just like co-create them. So, and like the negatives, like you can be content, and then you can remember something negative to think about, and the mind's like, oh, remember this really shit thing? and then you go remember it, and then it makes you sad. So it's like a useless thought. But that's one thing. But anyway, the main insight that I had somewhat, that wasn't really an actual like formal insight. It was just like I noticed a different perspective that I was taking in general. Was like, life hasn't got to be that serious, and it's good fun if you don't take it so seriously and you just try and focus on the positives. But that's not really like the main insight. Like, how can I word it? It's more of like, look, you're here. Hello, you're breathing, you're alive. Welcome. The fact that you're alive is, regardless of it being positive or negative, it is pretty fucking mad that you're alive, right? And an insight I had about suicide, people who claim they want to die or they want to kill themselves, or often, well, in my case, like, because I've had my fair share of suicidal thoughts, especially recently. But when I look into the nature of these thoughts, and take this and keep this in mind, it's like this insight comes from a place of being very dysfunctional and deeply neurotically unhappy, and somewhat unhealthy, but just like questioning what's the point in life. Like, when I look at, starting from the present moment, I look out at the world and I'm like, there must be a reason. How is it possible that consciousness just emerges into this matrix and you're just left with no answers? And like, I'm sure there's a bigger plan, and it feels like something I know at this point, because I cannot stomach, or like, I literally cannot understand how that could not be the case. Excuse me. But it's like, so yeah, I mean, that's just one facet. And then I could also be very lazy. I could go on, there's many lists of things I'm not particularly happy about myself with, like my posture. But then I just like ruminate and think about these things, and it doesn't really help me thinking about them. And like, I just feel like the pressure's on sometimes, and I'm like, oh, like, I wake up some day, I feel like I'm just like a slave sometimes, like I'm just trapped in this physical realm. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm trapped. And even if I kill myself, consciousness never ends, so I'm still trapped, you know, like what happens once can happen again, right? But yeah, so I mean, there's that paradigm, which is some, you know, just negative rumination, quite somewhat like a pessimistic or confused look at the world. But like, this is kind of like analysis paralysis, like we feel like you can't really move without like knowing like why you're here, and things of that nature. One sec. But yeah, so I think the main thing that so I just had another insight. It was weird. I don't know, it felt like some like deja vu, how life is just constant ups and downs. Oh, I've got a new insight, now I'm making another video walking around the same block I walked around last week. And then it's going to go up and down, but it's all ultimately pointless. I don't know. But yeah, so like the main insight somewhat that I was thinking earlier that I made this recording for is just like, right, try and do things that you enjoy. Don't put the pressure on yourself. A general insight I've had over the past week or so as well is just like, chill out, just breathe, take more conscious breaths, just stop putting so much pressure on yourself as if like your life is on the line in the typical sense. Like, your life is on the line, yeah, but none of this shit matters anyway. And I think that in an ultimate sense, like, not that there isn't like a plan, somewhat, and like, I think all loose ends will be tied in the end, of like an understanding perspective, like, but I don't think that it necessarily like means anything. I mean, like, as if like anything that you do is gonna have like a permanent mark on anything. That's what I mean. It's like everything will go where it is going to be in the end anyway. That's kind of what I imply. So like, in terms of like this realm, is somewhat like how Alan Watts puts it. He says, "This is my basic metaphysical action, shall we put it that way, that the universe is basically playful. There's no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it hasn't some destination that it ought to arrive at. Now, it might do, in the sense of like, maybe like in the quote-unquote end, like there is some pinnacle godhead state of consciousness, maybe. But like, you're here right now, and when that comes, it will come in its own time. But like, the present moment is just like complete in itself. So what was I thinking about that the other day? Yeah, like don't aim at the Godhead as like somewhere, or like say death, or the embodiment of infinity in the absolute, or something. Like, stop like looking for something outside of this moment is ultimately foolish. Like, for fulfillment, like, because fulfillment really is found in absolute acceptance in the present moment, and desire is the root cause of dukkha, of dissatisfaction. Dukkha is the Buddhists call dissatisfaction. It's a constant striving of the mind for attachments, or to change reality into something that it isn't. And like, you can still desire things, and there are better desires and worse desires, or wiser desires and foolish desires, but it's like to strive for like a moment that will like complete you outside of a moment that is now. Like, I feel like it's a mistake, and I always like, I mean, it's hard because obviously there are moments that do seem like somewhat objectively better than other moments, like when you're actually enjoying yourself, like you're on a beach with a massive joint in the sun and your health is really good, compared to fucking when you fucking, I don't know, just some stupid shit happens, like I don't know, just like a very frustrating, inconvenient day where like your fucking train that you're on gets fucking derailed, and then you're like, does that mean man can't fucking get his flight on time? They're like, yeah, but your flight was fucking cancelled anyway, so it don't matter. And then you're like, this has been a pretty shit day. And you're like, well, it's all the present moment, man, like, find fulfillment in the now. Yeah, that's facts. Ultimately, so, I mean, obviously there are like better moments than other moments, like somewhat, like there are more pleasurable moments, but it's more of like, you kind of have to learn to enjoy every step of the process, all the ups and downs and twists and turns, because even if you have the ups and downs and twists and turns, like the idea that one day you're gonna make it, and then like the grass will be greener on the other side, and you'll cross that boundary, and then you've done it, like, say with like fame and wealth, there's a common pitfall. Like, Little Darky has a lyric, you don't want no money, you don't want no fame, if you had everything you wanted, you realise that nothing changed. NF has a lyric, at 24 you'll drop an album and you'll call it mention, at 25 6, you put out therapy and gain some traction. Skip to track number 4, yes, a really sad one. Yeah, perception's coming next, we about to reach some masses. That sounds awesome, at the same time it doesn't matter. At 27 we'll make millions, but it's really sad cause you learn to realize that none of this will make you happy. And that happens to loads of people. Like, they get success and they're like, oh, now there's no illusion of why I'm not happy. Now I've got everything I want and I'm still not happy. So the fulfillment is ultimately found within. But this is not what I wanted to ultimately speak about. It's like, it's just like, just don't project to better days. Like, yeah, there can be better days in this relative sense, but also there's the winds of the universe. Like, everything's forever changing, so just try and accept what is also. But this is coming from a place where oh, did I even finish that thread when I was speaking about suicidal thoughts? I was going to say my insight was that people don't actually want to die often. It's more of they just want to change the dream that they live. They would like to change their reality. They don't want to die. They're just deeply unsatisfied with their circumstance, which again is dukkha, dissatisfaction for wishing reality is other than it is, a different way than it is. But yeah, so what I was going to say is, like, so it was coming from a place of me always projecting, like, so those suicidal thoughts came from a place where it was like, or maybe the Godhead would just be cooler, like, get it over with. And I was thinking this for a while, like, or not even the Godhead, just like, I think I've always, even before being spiritual, I always saw death as like a safety net somewhat, where it's like, everything's just gonna be where it is ultimately needs to be. Like, what's beyond death? I don't know, but it's almost like, yeah, it's like no matter how much you're suffering or whatever, like, it can't last forever. Everything's impermanent, and in this way I kind of see how everything is already where it needs to be, since death is like you're falling, jumping into the void, but you're already in like the same fabric of that void, which is reality itself. Like, there's not really much of a distinction. But yeah, and then I took a mushroom trip after having these suicidal thoughts for ages. About 3.5 grams of Liberty Cap psilocybin magic mushrooms, and I got pummeled with negative insights about my behaviour and loads of negative thoughts, and it was very difficult. And at the end I come with the insight that it was like, it felt like reality was saying to me, like, about like the suicidal thoughts. It was like, you could do it if you want, but you're here, man. Like, look, you're literally wearing this skin suit in this fucking infinitely intelligent matrix with loads of fun, weird shit to do. Like, there's so much to explore and so much that hasn't even been discovered yet. What, and you just want to quit the game, do you? I mean, do it if you want and return back to fucking, like, boundless nothingness, infinity. But that's just like pure emptiness, pure fullness, like, but here you've got the ability to bounce off the walls and like actually be a human and believe that you are somebody. So it's like, quit if you want, quit or perform. And I chose perform, so it felt like I crawled out of my bed, and I like put my skin suit on, and I chose to perform and to be better in the world. this afterglow and these insights eventually slipped from me. 1 second. Sorry, I forgot my insights and things that I had learned there over time, and then it returns to today, where I think the main thing I wanted to say is like, just like, you're here, man. Like, fuck me. You're here now. You're like, just don't take it so serious. There's good times to be had. Just like, yeah, just don't take it so serious, man. I think that's the main thing. Like, try and be the best you can, and like, strive to be better and things, if you please. And like, you know, like, what do you like doing? Do you want to make music? Do you want to be a rapper? Alright, well, if you make some music in the future and things, or in a minute or whatever, then that's good. That would be cool if that makes you happy. Then maybe you can do some of that. But it's not like, don't put this pressure. It's like, oh, I must do it, otherwise I'm fucked. No, you're not. Everything's impermanent anyway. Even if you make it, it will just leave. Like, remove ideas of you needing to be anything. Because I think there's actually a lot of problems with personal development. Because it puts a lot of pressure on people and they think they're not enough. Which can be seen in many ways. But yeah, it's just like, you're here, man. Like, go make some fucking music or some shit, or don't. Like, go smoke a joint. Just like, you know, there will be pain, but just, it's a lot about how your mind interprets that pain. Like, you might feel pain because your posture's poor, and you'll be like, no, my posture, man, my body's fucked. And then start crying about how you're not going to be as good as you could be and shit like that. I mean, look, bro, it's just, I think that's it. I think it's just like, when it loses its seriousness like that, and you can, and like, just take the pressure off, you can just enjoy yourself. I saw Jim Carrey said something along those lines, and I used to embody that a lot more, I feel. But I think that's the main thing. Just take the pressure off, bro. Just like, try and find your way, chill out, and that's it. And just in general, yeah, I've just been taking stuff a lot slower. And just like breathing more and chilling more, and like, just stop with like the really heavy thinking where everything's like an emergency. Like, as Alan Watts puts it, like, when you treat life as something that you want to do something about, it becomes a drag. But if you just treat it a bit like a dance, like a musical thing, you can have a good time. So I think, yeah, just you're here. Like, do stuff that you enjoy, and find your own values. Enjoy the pleasures, go out, see things, do more of what you like doing, because why would you really do anything else? In any, like, you know what I mean? And if you like personal development and delayed gratification, do in that. But if you're not into it, then don't bother. If you like eating poison, then eat the poison. But if you don't want to be ill, then don't eat the poison. Or I don't know. It's just chill out, man. Because I used to be so stressed about, like, oh, all the food's poison, it's killing my body, man. It's like, just stop taking it so fucking seriously. And it kind of adds this space to everything. There's a rat in the garden. Hello, rat. But yeah, I think that's my message. So yeah, just chill out. Yeah, and if you want to do a podcast and things, like, just don't pressure yourself into needing to be anyone, like, way better, like, seeking validation, because you're not who you want to be yet. Just, like, accept yourself. I think that's the main thing here, is just acceptance. So I hope you got something out of this anyway. And I will, if I do an update to this sort of message, in the description I'll put hashtag OXSN 51027938660, which is a spontaneous number off the top of my head. So if you search that hashtag, hopefully you'll find similar updated things in the future about just this. So that's it. I love you. Thank you.